Hello, welcome to my free mini class, How to Identify the Message of a Movie or a Book. This is one of the most common questions, especially for students who perhaps in their English class have to write about a book, or in some kind of film class or a college English class too. You have to write about a book or a movie and say, what is it about? Some people have a lot of trouble with this, and we are not necessarily given a lot of training on how to do that at school in some of these English classes. Film classes more so, but English not so much, I think. So in this mini class, we're going to address this problem. If that sounds like you, if you often have that problem in class, this is going to be the class for you, the course for you. Or if you're just someone who wants to be able to talk more intelligently about a movie or a book, then this will be the class for you. And if you're not sure if it's for you, it's free, so might as well take it anyway. Before we get started in this class, in this first introductory video, I wanted to talk about one important idea. This is the idea that a movie or a book can have multiple meanings. In film studies and literary studies, we call this polycymy. The first part of that word poly is the same root word as, for example, polyamorous, someone who has multiple romantic relationships, or polyglot, someone who speaks multiple languages. Cymy is the same root as the most common word we see this in is semantic, and it means meaning. So polycymy means multiple meaning. What do I mean when I say that a movie or a book can have multiple meanings? This means that there's not necessarily any right or wrong interpretation of what the movie or the book is about. There can also be larger meanings or larger statements that the movie is making, and much smaller statements that the movie is making. There can be a main point and maybe some smaller points, smaller messages. These can all be true. Even interpretations that kind of go at odds against each other, maybe contradict each other to some extent, they can all be legitimate. There's not necessarily any right or wrong answer, because we all bring our own lives and our own interpretations of a piece of art. So that's one thing I want to say here at the beginning before we get into the 4 approaches to identifying a movie's message. Another thing I want to explain is why I keep saying movies and books. The primary goal of this video is to talk about movies, because that's my specialty, film studies, but all 4 of these approaches can equally be applied to books. They're really talking about the narrative, the story of a movie, and so books are also a narrative art form, and so all of these approaches can also be used to interpret a book. So you can really use them for both. That's why I say it that way. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the 4 approaches or 4 ways to identify the message of a movie or a book.